AGM and social, and I'm not even completely sure of that date. This is what we've got. So we have to fill out a report every year.
Sorry, Sherry, could you repeat that? We lost you momentarily.
Oh, sorry. The date, I'm not confident that that's the actual date of the AGM. I think it was the 7th or the 8th.
Okay.
Okay, but this is kind of, we are meant to describe how we're going to make IT good for society as a member group. Now, we do a lot of talks, hopefully that are informative, and so I've written it with this in mind. We've got a lot of difficulties running a branch at a distance because I think I've actually passed Jordan occasionally by the train, and I've occasionally seen Herb. I've even seen Mary once or twice over the last couple of years, but I really haven't actually clapped eyes on anybody else. So that does make it more difficult to make it part of every day. And, you know, we're in this VUCA world, this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. I don't know as a branch, even necessarily speaking for myself, what the way forward is, you know, taking that idea that we were talking about earlier, Gordon, in mind, you know, that relevance. But we hope to engage our community. We have quite an active student community when they're on campus. And we do like to share events with other branches. And we would like to kind of go back to that and kind of build on it. I think listening to the talks, we've seen some really great talks over the years. Herb knows a lot of people. We know a lot of people in the group. So we hope to have some really entertaining stuff. We've also talked about getting much more involved with education. I was in communication last year with Rachel. I'm the one that dropped the ball on this, about how to get more involved with schools. I think this is really important. In fact, in my personal life, I can see this. My son's interested in going into computer science, but his school wouldn't even consider a computer science A-level, and which means that his options, you know, he might have to take a lower grade on something and not get into a computer science course potentially, not because he can't code very well indeed, thank you, but because of these barriers, schools aren't seeing computer science the same way. I think there's a real role in education here. We want to provide leadership in terms of making sure that we're out there relevant and doing kind of what the membership hopefully is interested in. And so hopefully get some relevant IT talks. I would like to do a Women into IT national workshop. There's no prospect of doing that this academic year or this year, but certainly in 2023. And Herb and I have talked, and Herb has championed for a long time a student chapter of BCS. So how do we actually do that with a student body that's quite busy? We still have awarded prizes, even though they've been at a distance. I don't know that everybody's cashed the checks, but we certainly have continued all the checks we normally do. And of course, we've got this fallow year or two where we really haven't had a lot of talks, and so the kind of the rhythm of branch and its talks and the community engagement part of it, all that's kind of fallen by the wayside, and that's something that I take some personal responsibility for, but I think collectively we quite like to see that drumbeat back, because those are good events. Those are things that we like to do. We're quite diverse as a group anyway. I would like to believe that we would champion this on every level, including what we see for ourselves. And as of last year, when we made these decisions, this was our team. I'm really happy to see almost everybody here. I don't know about Atik. And I've been trying to touch base with Sanjay. Hi, Sanjay. So sorry that we haven't, but I suspect that's just a scheduling conflict with Anna. So typically we have face-to-face meetings every year. So this is our AGM, but actually I would like, whatever the outcome of the elections today, there should be some kind of actual face-to-face committee meeting at some point in the not distant future. And I'm, kind of thinking February, March sort of time. So unless people disagree, it would be good to kind of get together and have a proper planning session. So this is the world as I see it. I'm afraid to say it's not breaking any new ground. Now, typically, I've got the chair's report. Herb, am I right when it would typically be membership and treasury?
Yes.
I'm just going to check really quickly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen before I do that. Sorry. How do I stop that? If I do that, no. Do I just click it again? Stop sharing in Windows closed. Okay, so you can't see my screen anymore, I think. Great.
I can still see it.
You can still see my screen now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. How do I turn it off? Don't know. Okay, well.
That's interesting, Shay, because I can't see your screen. I've just got the word Jordan in front of me at the moment. If that helps or hinders, sorry.
I don't see anything that like allows me to kind of like one participant at a time, so nobody else can share it. The only thing that's on my screen to me is your name, Gordon.
Yeah.
And can you see that?
No.
And I haven't got any squares around the screen that looks like it's sharing. So I'm sorry, I can't see anything else. I was just gonna say, if I can look quickly at my work email to see if I have anything. Did Peter send me anything before he left? It's very possible he did.
Okay.
Just so you don't have to look at my stuff, Peter. Okay, what I can't do is do anything about membership because I don't think he sent me anything. And if he's come back, he hasn't communicated. In fact, I haven't really heard from Peter. I will have to check up on it. But I can show you kind of where we were at if you'd like to see that again. There we go. One more time. So kind of looking, this is 2021. We had the allocation. So you've got our student prizes and membership, 200. We bid 200. We got 200. It was stayed at 200. Typically in October, we have a speaker's expenses. We had an allocation of £56. We got another £51 later. So we asked for 75, but because we haven't had as many speakers, they're lowering this. By the way, if we get more speakers, they will allocate us more funds for it if we need to. We've got catering that we had a budget bid. We got £33. And in the financial year 21-22, we're getting this much. So yes, I guess I'm trying to interpret it. This is what was asked for. This is what was given in 2021. And this is what the financial 2021-22 year looks like. So when we don't have events, those amounts go down, which is quite fair. But that isn't to say that we couldn't have the same number of speakers. We do have some place in the budget. I'm not really sure how to read it. We have enough in the account to allow us to still do everything as we would normally do it. We can bid next year if we use the speaker fees like we would typically do in February, March, April, May. We will be able to get our allocation next year. It's not going to be a problem. We can also ask for money for special events. So if we have any reason to do a special event, we can ask for that funding. Now, Peter knows the ins and outs of this ever so much better than I do, but that hopefully at least gives us an idea of where we're at. I don't think there's anything attached to just family pictures. Sorry. So I don't think he sent me any other files, so I don't think I could do anything about membership. If it follows what it's been the last few years, the membership has it's kind of in a decline. We're in line with kind of everybody else in the BCS on this, but where we really need to stop share. There we go. Hooray, that worked.
Well done.
You're well done. Hey, learning as I go. We should be able to generate membership. In fact, last time we were getting members, it was largely newer, younger members, primarily students. And we do like to tell them that we can give them a lot of advantages if they're members of the BCS. They get access to the databases from the BCS and jobs pages. I know lots of students who've actually gotten jobs from those job pages. So it's a very good value for them. They pay £40 or something like that for their entire course. So it can be really good value, and it's a really good way of getting people into it. But professionals, I think that's an area where, you know, we got to show some relevance, and where I can see that relevance, I'm not sure that's visible to a lot of people. If I talked about somebody, they've never heard of the BCS and they work in IT, I think there's a more existential problem. Anyway, so those are committee things. I don't know where Herb has got to, but I think where we end up with all of this is these are all the reporting things. Herb as secretary would tell us that we didn't have any meetings last year. So I think what I want to do is shut up. And what I'm interested in is, what do people want to do? Where can we go with this? What do you need from me? And what can I do? What would be interesting? And Sophie and Jordan, you're both kind of early mid-career types because you were students some years ago now. I am particularly interested in what would make this relevant to you. Are you with me? Rachel, Jordan? No, sorry, not Rachel, Sophie. Rachel, I'm coming back to you.
Hi, Sherry, how are you?
Hiya. I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Lovely to talk to you.
And
what do you think?
I mean, to be honest, I'll be brutally honest, I've probably been as far removed from BCS membership since the last meeting I actually came to in person, which was probably eons ago, Sherry.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true of a lot of people. Don't feel bad, because it's been crazy. Go on, hands up, everybody who didn't find this crazy.
I think from where I'm coming from is I'd like to kind of give back now, to be honest, Sherry.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to get involved where possible, really. I now live and work in Wolverhampton locally. So I'd like to help where I can to try and get locals involved. I work for a company at the moment that is a consulting branch, which predominantly is under the Microsoft umbrella.
Right, okay.
Predominantly Business Central and CRM, but I'm also working on the reporting side of things, so predominantly Power BI. But we also are recruiting this year for another 30 graduates. So last year we recruited 20, this year we're doing 30.
Are you listening?
I'm here.
Did you hear that?
I'm here for you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Sophie, I don't know if you know Herb very well.
I don't think I do, no.
He wasn't teaching there when you were studying.
Oh, okay.
He's very enthusiastic and very, very keen on the stuff.
Well, that's always good.
Oh, it's good. So, yes, okay, that's fantastic. Okay.
And then obviously the other side of that coin is obviously I'd like to champion females into IT. From a very selfless perspective, obviously.
well, you don't see. I always tell female students, you know, this is a thing, and nobody really wants to believe it, but it is a thing.
It is a thing. I'll tell you that honestly, it is a thing.
It is a thing. I'm sorry, guys, you may not want to believe it.
Sorry.
But it's a thing. Rachel will probably go along with this. This is the thing, and you wouldn't believe. I actually, when I worked in the office with people who were your teachers, remember, I have a master's degree with distinction in computer science. I know how to use these computers.
Yeah, funny.
I worked in an office with 4 other guys, and there came up something, and one of my colleagues working in information systems, no kidding, for no less than 40 years, which might identify him to the crowd, couldn't actually change a character in Microsoft Word.
Wow.
And I was closer to him, and I was standing right next to him, and I was trying to describe to him what to do. And he turned around and asked a male colleague, who, by the way, has no computer science qualifications whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
I could probably barely tie his own shoes in this regard. So I know that some people don't believe this happens, but it does.
It does, unfortunately.
Sorry,
yeah.
Herb. And sorry, Gordon. I realize this probably isn't you, but this is a thing.
No.
And in fact, I want to do a women's event. I actually want to have a whole day on campus.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
A national event. I've got an idea for this, and I've been wanting to work on it for probably 3 years now. And it's just,
oh wow.
Well, it's when I changed universities. It really, it really took a while. It's a real cultural change. Let me put it like that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I might mention this year was the 10th year I've been sending my female students to the BCS Lovelace Colloquium.
Yay!
Well done.
Herb is not our problem. The people in this room are not the problem, but this is a thing outside of this room. So
I'll be honest, Sherry, when I was, so I've done a teaching degree as well since then, Sherry. I don't know whether you're aware of that. I've also got a master's as well now.
What did you do master's in?
I did it in information systems and business analysis.
Ooh, I have created so many business analysts. I am so proud of myself. Are you in touch with, what's his name? It's going to come back to me. But if he didn't, I'm sure if you didn't know him, you might have worked with him. He's a serious business analyst. I'm thinking,
oh, wow.
like 5 times what I do. Astonishing.
Great.
But it all started with 6CI002 or 001. Really.
Oh, yeah, those good old days.
Good old days, yeah, going way back. Sorry, that's boring for everybody else. Okay, Sophie, thanks for that. There is so much we have to talk about. What if Jordan has disappeared? I was just going to ask Jordan what he thought.
Yeah, he's just put in the chat there that his Wi-Fi
there he is.
down.
Oh, okay, right. See.
Yeah, it was his Wi-Fi, I think.
Yeah. Jordan, are you with us again?
So sorry, just for record, my PC version hung up, so I joined on the phone. I'm not sure if I missed something in between, but is this the membership bit and we're going around the room? Is that the?
Well, not exactly. We kind of, I don't have members. What I'm concerned about, Herb, is actually I haven't heard from Peter at all.
Yeah. So
and that in itself is kind of unusual. He sent me the treasury stuff, which I've gone over, but he didn't send me any membership stuff. And although the membership, all the emails went to him as well, he hasn't come back to me. So one of two things are true: either he's still in the United States, or he is for some reason unable to answer. So I have just kind of gone over what has been the general trend. All of these documents will come to everybody at some time in the not distant future in some way, shape, or form, because we have to do it. It's a legal requirement.
Lovely.
Jordan, I'm sorry, I was just going to ask Jordan, what do you think? What would make more relevance to you?
I'm honestly not sure, Sherry, but I know in the inclusion officers group, which I see, I know there's and I'm interested as well, a lot about inclusion and diversity is quite a big push in that part of BCS.
There is, yes.
So for me, I'd like to see something around that, but I'm not entirely sure what is the answer.
Okay, I like that are you willing to work on something like that?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I ask is I'm actually the inclusion officer for WMG at Warwick.
No surprises there, Sherry.
No surprise. Well, I did that sort of thing at Wolverhampton.
Yes, you did.
It's beside the point. I think we could. Let's think about that. I've got a little bit of headspace. Believe it or not, I got 2 weeks of teaching, and then I've got a whole month of headspace. It's unprecedented. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so those are kind of younger members, although I've got to say Jordan and Sophie are quickly moving along, no longer students.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pushing 34 this year, Sherry. They're not as young as
I was 33 when I moved to the UK. Wow. And just as fair warning, I think I was 35 when I had my first baby. So that,
wow.
Oh yeah, those things happen kind of all at the same time. But anyway. Rachel, Sanjay, hello.
Yeah, hello. Hi, Rachel here.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, thank you, and hope everyone else is well. It's been a while. I remember attending the AGM in
and we had a couple of emails, and I think it's completely my fault to drop the ball. Seriously, the job was trying to kill me last year.
It
almost succeeded. It was so close.
Oh no, that's
wouldn't
not
believe,
ideal.
But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Academia is a nutsy place to work right now. Hopefully, you're not an academic, yeah?
Okay, no, not for the day job. So yeah. So in terms of the question was, were you asking what we'd like to see, I suppose, in the upcoming year?
Well, what will make this relevant to you? I mean, you were
Okay.
interested in education before, that might still be true, but it's not just about what we do for the community. It's also
Yeah.
what does the branch do for us? What kind of stuff do we want to see?
I see. Okay. I suppose I wasn't a part of the organization when there were events, meetup events. So it'd just be
There
nice
will
to
be
see
soon. There will be soon.
see how it all functions. So I see the standard format is having sessions or speakers maybe once a month delivering on interesting topics. So like, for example, on something on the metaverse, VR, AR. I recently did a course on virtual reality and learned new skills. But yeah, I mean, there's so much I think would spark my interest, but also interest in the wider community. I work for an education software company as well, and I was doing a part-time computer science course as well. Yeah, so it's in terms of what I want to see.
So you're
there's nothing-
you're fully immersed in this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just
Fabulous.
we'll just see what happens, I suppose.
Okay, well, first of all, you nailed it. The typical routine is we get together from about 6:30, usually putting on the tea urn and talking as we run around and do stuff. And then we have an hour-long talk from 7 to 8, usually followed by Q&A. And if there are a few intrepid souls still left, we occasionally nip off to the pub. So, well, me and Mary do anyway. Largely this happens because we could go there and talk about the BCS and also complain about our various jobs. So, yeah, get it out of your system sort of thing. But it's also really just kind of a nice decompression. So that's kind of how we've sort of done things in the past, but nothing says that, past performance is no guarantee of future returns. We can reinvent this. And right now, we have a committee that's currently identified, but we also have to vote for that next committee. Now, that could be the same one we've got. That could be a change to that committee. We are open-minded on this subject. But you want interesting topics. Well, we're gonna see about that. I like some of the ideas you've got there. One of the things I'd like to do kind of before we go, or if you want to put it into the chat or whatever like that, kind of the topics that you might want to see talks about. Because Herb seems to know a million people, and I can know a few people myself, and so we'll try to find people. If we can find, common themes, we'll try to find talks that will do that. What I did was I just had her book everything on Zoom, because if we don't do the Zoom booking before we get a speaker, we can't have the Zoom connection. So I have all of those. Now we just got to find speakers that are available for those dates.
So yeah, I have a few already in the milieu, so we can maybe get to that.
We will, yeah. We'll see where we get to. We want to. I guess it depends on how everybody wants to proceed.
Sherry.
So, yeah.
Sorry to be a nuisance, but Sanjay's just asked, can someone unmute him?
Oh gosh. Poor Sanjay.
Because I've lost my connection, I lost the co-host, so I.
Oh, I see. Ask to unmute. Ask to unmute. I want to unmute you. How do I unmute him?
I think if you click on.
Oh, wait a minute. More. See, so it has like the little thing. It won't just let me click on that, and I could say, "Oh, not asked to unmute." I don't want asked. Okay, somebody tell me what I'm looking at wrong.
I think if you click on his name.
Yeah. When I click on his name on the right, on the participants, it says ask to unmute and then more.
Yeah, and I think if you click on ask to unmute.
But I did that several times. It just doesn't seem to do anything.
Okay.
Or Sanjay. I'm going to try. Can I make him a co-host? I don't know what that'll do for you, Jordan. So I'm going to try making him a co-host and see if we can talk to him. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Sanjay, have a go now. Yeah.
Hang on.
Because he had it set, everybody should have been able to mute and unmute themselves. It shouldn't have had to be us. We didn't actually limit it to the host and co-host, so I'm not sure why that would be a problem.
It looks like he's unmuted.
Huh.
Oh, hang on. No, maybe not. Let me see.
Okay, so we do want to talk to you, Sanjay. I'm not sure how we're going to solve this problem.
You can maybe use the chat for now.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so in the meantime, we actually have to kind of, what's the next thing on the agenda, Herb?
Have we done the membership?
Yeah, only as much as we could, yes.
Okay, so then that's item 8, election of officers.
Ah, the meat and potatoes of the thing, right. So I'm gonna find my document here again. And the way this works, I guess everybody is familiar with it, but this is the first time I've ever run a meeting without Mary or Peter. That is so unnerving for me, I must say. Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing them any kind of justice whatsoever. I'll do my best. I can share the screen here. Okay. Last year, this is what we looked like. So the typical way this happens, and I think you'll have a Herb on the document that I sent to you.
Yeah.
You know, kind of somebody has to nominate and somebody has to second.
Yeah.
And anybody who is nominated for something has to kind of be actually willing to undertake the role.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who has one of these roles who is not willing to continue in that role?
It's only Peter and Mary we don't know about. Well,
Mary's
the
a
role of
general
member.
member. We don't
Yeah,
have to do
that's
it.
fine.
What we'll say is we will nominate and vote in Peter, and we'll deal with it if for some reason he says no.
Okay.
We can do that. We can do that.
Provisionally, yeah.
He did say that was okay.
He'd do it, yeah.
Okay. So, where do we start? I suppose we start chair. Somebody has to nominate and somebody has to second.
Nominate Sherry Sankey.
I'll second.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so add those to your little list there. Thank you very much. Role of secretary. I nominate Herb Daly.
I'll do it.
All right, seconded by?
I'll second it.
Sophie. Thank you, Sophie.
What else we got?
We have, we're going to go membership secretary. I nominate Peter Crouch.
I second it, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Seconded by Rachel. For the role of treasurer, I nominate Peter Crouch.
I second it.
Herb seconds Peter Crouch as treasurer. To be reconsidered if this comes back. The role of inclusion officer, I nominate Jordan Dearn.
I second it.
Herb seconds. Thank you very much. Educational liaison officer. Now, I know that Sophie is interested in the educational side of things. Rachel, are you happy to continue? Sophie, do you want to consider something like that or some other? There are other roles that we could have that are educationally related, or are you right now happy to be a general member and take it from there?
I think I'm happy to be a general member for now.
Okay,
I think
that's
some of
fair
the other
enough.
roles that were available are probably more suited,
thing.
I think.
Okay, that's fine. Rachel, are you willing to continue as liaison officer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Sophie, if there's anything you want to work on, you can always collaborate. So yeah, I'm sort of open to that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
We will be talking about this soon.
Yeah.
I promise. That's really good. I'm really pleased to see it. Okay, I nominate Rachel Garwood for Educational Liaison Officer.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sophie. Sophie seconds the motion. It is carried. I think at this point, there's no other roles that we have to actually vote for. Sophie, if you know of a role there that you would like to be nominated for, you can say it now, or we'll just leave it for now.
I think it was one of the not ones that weren't so related to the branch committee. I think it was more the maybe the social aspect of it, getting the word out there a bit more.
I'll tell you what,
the spare ones I have, we have Congress representative, deputy Congress representative, young persons group representative, and public relations officer.
Okay, the Congress, any member of the committee can go to the BCS Congress. They're paid for. You get your train ticket paid for. If you're coming from a certain distance, they'll pay for accommodation at reasonable expense. It's a very nice day. They have lots of. It's a great way of feeding other people in the BCS. Can't recommend it enough. We send 2 people every year.
Is that in London or Swindon?
That's in London.
Ah.
At the new facility there. I know you're in London, so that's not a deal for you, but for those of us who don't get to see the capital very often. But it's also just a great day out. But we can, they do have events sometimes outside of that. That's why we want to do this. I want to do a nationwide women's event because Wolverhampton is right at the center of the country. It should be one of the most accessible universities anywhere. I have to say that's something I can't say for Warwick. Okay, so with that said, unless there are other roles that we want to put a committee, Sophie, do you want to put your name on any of those? Do we want to vote on that now, or do you want to just kind of hang out for a while?
Can I hang out for a while and just have a look at those roles?
No problem. You are under no pressure. What we want to do here is have a nice working team and kind of get the word out. So when somebody says BCS, everybody else kind of knows what that means. Okay, election of officers sorted. Anything else? What's next, Herb?
Next is the next session's program.
You, I know, have lots of people who you want to do talks. Other people have ideas of the kind of talks that they would like to hear.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I right now, I don't have anybody. I can get you a dozen people if I need to, but I think let's find a theme. What kind of subject are we interested in? Coming out of a pandemic, what are the pressing IT issues?
I mean, there's
it's
the
a really horrible
issue.
question, isn't it?
Hang on though. I mean, there's the pressing issues, and there's the kind of the issues that are kind of coming our way. I don't know if any of you saw the last one we did, which was in September on AI ethics. Any of you see that one?
I think I did.
Oh yeah, you were there. So that was kind of something that's kind of been in the air. We were talking about connecting with students and young people. So we Cher and I were talking about getting some of the people enrolled in different programs to talk about the projects they were doing, kind of almost like a bit of a chance for them to kind of present themselves to the community and potentially get some advice. So, a little bit like a clinic maybe. I have a few apprenticeship students who are probably ready to do that, and possibly some students in other areas as well. I have, and some of these kind of need kind of walking through properly, but I have kind of tentative agreement on stuff like energy consumption of data centers. I have people with an interest in blockchain technology. I have something on tech leadership, so kind of the like new models for leadership in technology, and all kind of based on the kind of the agile model, and some new ideas about how that would work. There's a mix.
Okay.
So I have a number of people that are kind of keen, and then it's kind of, well, how we, how
do you envisage this as like a single event where people come as like a conference, a student conference?
Oh goodness, no. I mean, we could.
Well, why not?
I'm thinking initially of really just doing it as one of our evening events.
And just having one person at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, let me just. I've had some clarification on some of these things. So we can't. If they're getting advice from, if they're going as a speaker, that is,
Yeah.
if they're coming to convey information, and they are an outside speaker, we can pay them like we pay speakers.
Yeah,
If they're
yeah.
coming to discuss their project and get advice, that is not
Yeah.
speaking. They are
Ah.
the beneficiaries, and we cannot pay them for that.
Okay, no,
I'm
fine.
just telling you because Carrie and me, and we tracked down the thing. But
yeah.
I like the idea of students getting money. So I think that there could be something, but I think we would have to look at it kind of like a conference. Yeah, they might be able to get feedback and stuff like that. We need to be able to do those things where we don't have any ethical or
Yeah. I mean,
there will be a way. There will be a way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm flexible either way. As in,
You know what we could do? What we might not be able to do is pay them, but we can feed them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
No.
why not a student conference and get feedback on their projects? For some, at least two of the people in this room have done projects, if not supervised by myself, supervised by somebody who sat in the same room with me. So they know what student projects are all about. They'll be able to give some good feedback. Most of us have done that sort of thing, so we can give good feedback. I think it'd be a great event, and I think we could get special funding for it. So, and maybe there's some other kind of nice thing we can do for the students that acts like money but doesn't look like money.
Yeah, I mean, I think to some of them, the feedback might be more useful than the money. But,
absolutely, but we should still feed them. I don't see a problem with that. That's the best way of getting students to attend anything. Free food.
I mean, some of those might be the easier, low-hanging fruit. As in, some of those we could organize very, very quickly.
Well, why don't we do a student conference on the next talk?
Oh,
4 students. Let's have them do. They got 15 minutes each. They got a 15-minute presentation. Well, no, they got a 10-minute presentation, 5 minutes for feedback, and afterwards they can have dedicated feedback from anybody on the panel, assuming that everybody's happy to do that.
Okay, I'll see what I can wrangle. I'm pretty that's doable by this time next month, I think.
Okay, can we do that on campus, or would we want to?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I mean, everybody doesn't have to attend on campus. They can get feedback from anywhere, but certainly, I can see the value of the visual. Yeah. Talk to Carrie, though. She might think of other things that I haven't thought of. And my question is that sometimes BCS has like free pens and things like that. If we're going to do something with students, let's make it nice for them.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing. What are the other things? Rachel, you were talking, and do you know we haven't done anything at all on business analysis? Is anybody, not business, business analysis. Is anybody interested in talk on BA?
I'm sure it'd be interesting.
Well, if you're into that sort of thing, yeah. Sophie, Rachel, do you think that's something that would interest you? I don't hear it going like, wow, that's cool. I think blockchain. Those are student projects. What kind of? Sorry, go ahead.
I can see the benefits of business analysis, but I suppose, as I said, I recently did a virtual reality course, so the whole metaverse, Web 3.0, is kind of an
metaverse. Do you know anybody with metaverse, Herb?
Not off the top of my head.
No, right.
I mean, in a way.
But Power BI, we might know somebody. Do you want a Power BI talk? Would that be interesting to other people? I actually know somebody who talks about that very well.
Well, I mean, I'd be biased to say yes, obviously.
Is that a yes? All right, I'll see what I can do. I will try to collar him for, let's call it March. That's a note to self. We'll try to get into contact with Power BI guy. Power BI guy was very, very interesting. He showed. I was teaching, and I was desperate because I didn't have a guest speaker. Somebody kind of like backed out at the last minute, and I went to IT services and said help, and they sent me this Power BI guy, and that was one of the best talks of the year. So. I'm quite, and he says he doesn't often get to actually talk about what he does, and he's got fantastic things he can show people. Now that's Warwick University, and I'm not sure what things he won't be able to show us. Probably lots, but he might be quite happy to talk to the BCS.
Yeah.
Can't figure his name, but I will.
Got a few good cybersecurity ones. I mean, I think in a way it's like some of it's like kind of it's things that you don't know about. In a way, you don't know that they're interesting until you actually see them.
I think that's true. Well, and we haven't recently done a lot on cybersecurity. Power BI, I think that's relevant. Cybersecurity, and one of the students was talking about power consumption, but I think actually power consumption in IT is a big topic. Do we know anybody we could approach?
No. So those ones I was giving you, they weren't students.
Oh.
No. So students were the students, but
right.
all those other ones that was.
Okay. We want to talk about power consumption. I'd really like to hear that talk.
Okay, right you go. Yeah, I will.
Please stop me if everybody else hates it. Fine, but I think that'd be really interesting. We had somebody talk about power consumption. Oh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. We had 2 people.
Yeah.
A chap that actually went to a pub, and we kind of wish he hadn't. No, that was a long time ago. And a lady who I'm actually still in contact with, but I'm she's already done a talk for us, and we'd like some fresh blood.
Yeah, I got a number of AI possibilities.
Well, if we got a student event, we got a Power BI, a cybersecurity, a power usage, and a what do you got there?
Oh, again, those aren't necessarily students. I mean,
I know they're not students, but I'm looking at kind of if we got 5 people we can approach.
Mm-hmm.
We can get 5 no's, but we probably won't. If we get 4 yeses or 3 yeses or even 5 yeses, we could do 5 events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the student one, the ones that I've booked already, they're all Zoom oriented. If we want to do the student one independent of that, I think just make sure that we're not picking a student stress point for assessments, and then we can work around that. We can have the talks with the adults sort of things, and we can do another event with the students, and we still get everybody in and give them the feedback. But I think that could be in addition to 4 talks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sanjay has put in the comments Web3 readiness.
Web3. Do you know somebody, Sanjay, or is that an area you're interested in? Because I got to say, I'm not ready. I don't think. Primarily because I don't know what it's going to mean. So. Okay. Right. So, any other topics that we're interested in? Any other things that you'd quite like to do?
I think the only one that springs to mind really is if we're trying to, I guess, engage the wider community of IT professionals, is it worth having something that's more related to them in the workplace?
Sorry, one more time. Maybe
Sorry.
It's not you, it's me.
Something to do with it if we're trying to engage more with IT professionals as well, because our members are more predominantly young.
Yeah.
Maybe having something around something that's impacting industry or something like that, even if it's just on its broadest terms, but in the IT industry itself.
Yeah,
whether
Sanjay's
that's
talking about
post-pandemic or.
Yeah, I think this is something I think the Sanjay, the speaker we had 3 years ago, which one? We had Julian Schwarzenbach. We had business engagement.
He has replied again saying he's interested in it and we could bring back our speaker we had 3 years ago.
Yeah, I see. And I'm just trying to
Any particular one?
If you have a name or a description. IBM book writer. Communities, would like to promote communities and workplace. You know what? I'll find out who that is. This is where, if Mary and Peter were here, they would know all about this. I feel like this is the first time. Seriously, I will get better at it, but it's okay. I'll find out who that is. But thank you for that. We actually, Julian Schwarzenbach, he's also big in the BCS, but he did a really interesting talk. We had a whole different group of people when he came, and we had to run between buildings because power went out and so on. But it was still one of the most interesting talks, and people got soaked, and they still went back in the room because it was so interesting. I think I don't remember what he talked about. I'm going to have to go back and see, but if we can get him back, I think he certainly brought in the suits. Let me put it like that.
Did you mention you had some on project management, Sherry, that people would be...
Oh, I got so many people on project management, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Kevin, if nobody else. Kevin, but you know, Kevin's done BCS talks, probably not for about 5 years now. I can do talks on project management, but I'm not gonna. I've got half a dozen people at Warwick, or in service design. Actually, might be interesting. I wonder if Susan wants to talk about service design. Well, we've got quite a lot of ideas here with yours, so I think let's pursue the ones that we've got, and those other ones, you know, if we got ideas or we know if people are approaching them, you know, let's make a list for next year. Do the same thing, just put all the dates in the calendar, and then just fill the dates with those people when they're available. Yeah, lovely. Saves a lot of running around. Okay, that's the kind of my bit of it. So where are we at?
So that is item 10, next session's program. Item 11 is any other business.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any other business? Right. Well, I feel like I've done way too much talking. I'm sorry for that. But next time I would like to have... Yeah, sorry. No, I'm sorry. We've become lecturers to hear our own voices. I know this, but I don't want to do it all the time, honestly. The next time we meet, I would like to have a face-to-face meeting, either adjacent to the next speaker we have, or something around that, so we can sit down face-to-face and I don't know, just chat. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody, so much for giving up your evening. Thank you for the new committee, and let's hope that we can survive without Mary, and hope that we see Peter again soon. Have a great evening.
Indeed.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.